These hypotheticals have got us in a chokehold, and we must free ourselves. It's fun to argue about. It's fun to talk about what you would do in this scenario, or would you leave the game if the seats were high, or if a man took you this place on a first date, what you would do. And I'm telling you, like, every interaction that I have with people now, in some way or another, these things come up. Can we just keep it a buck? If they're fine enough, if they're funny enough, or if their financial status is what you want. Fine, funny, fucking money. You're throwing all boundaries, standards, all that shit you talked on Instagram about how you would never, and this woman ain't because women this and men this, you're moving forward with this person.
No, you know my favorite.
I like how, pause. I love how she just glossed over all of these attributes. Can we play that one more time? I think this is a learning moment for the audience. I want you guys to really listen to what she just said. I want you guys to pay attention.
These hypotheticals have got us in a chokehold, and we must free ourselves. It's fun to argue about. It's fun to talk about what you would do in this scenario, or would you leave the game if the seats were high, or if a man took you this place on a first date, what you would do. And I'm telling you, like, every interaction that I have with people now, in some way or another, these things come up. Can we just keep it a buck?
So right here.
If they're fine enough, if they're funny enough, or if their financial status is what you want. Fine, funny, fucking money.
Pause. So notice how she mentioned these three things. Fine, high sexual market value, which means be in shape, well-dressed, groomed. That's what they mean by fine, right? Funny. That's a code word for charismatic and charming.
Yep.
Being able to be a worldly individual and carry conversations and be witty. And then finances, right? You have money. I find it very interesting how women almost look at the male attributes as if they're not incredibly difficult to obtain. And I think the reason why they look at it like this is because a woman's main commodity is her looks. And she doesn't have to work for that shit. Let's be honest. He has to make up here, dress here, whatever. But if you're beautiful, you're beautiful. You know, it is what it is. Like, women don't have to really work for their sexual market value. It's given to them, right? And they have to preserve it. Men, on the other hand, we have to build it. And I always find it interesting how women gloss over the masculine struggle. Oh, if he's fit, fine, and funny, as if like that's easy to acquire, right? It's extremely difficult. We're talking about hours of potentially going to Toastmasters or learning how to speak or practicing in front of a mirror. We're talking about reading the dictionary and getting a better command on the English language. We're talking about being able to be charming and charismatic and being able to hold a conversation despite the fact that you're out with a dumbass that can't talk, right? We're talking about being able to earn 6 figures or more a year, right? These are things that are all incredibly difficult to do, but women always gloss over it as if it's apparent and abundant and it's not that big of a deal. But that's because women conflate their sexual market value with ours, as if a man that's a 9 is the same as a woman that's a 9. And I'm here to tell you guys, not at all. A man that's a 9 is far rarer than a woman that's a 9. Because the things it takes to make a man a 9 are significantly harder to do. So we are not the same. But women try to sit there and make it look like we're the same, and they almost bastardize the male struggle and make it look like, funny, fit, fine. And she's glossing over like it's nothing. But what she's basically done right there, she's described the top 1% man, right? As if, number one, she deserves one of those guys. And then number two, as if they're abundant. They're not. But since most women are and don't understand this concept that there are very few attractive men out there, they assume that it's just the same as women. And if you guys don't believe me, right? You guys know we do the segment on our show where we have the women pretend to be guys. And we tell them, hey, pick up a girl. What do? They strike out every time. Why do they strike out? Because when you're the guy, you're literally in the driver's seat where you have to build attraction with a girl that a lot of times isn't that interested. And I find it hilarious how every time we do this exercise, the women strike out. They can't get over their own objections. Oh, I have a boyfriend. They don't know what to do. I'm here with a friend. They don't know what to do. Let me just take you to my section. I'll give you $100 if you hang out with me. They do all the simp sucker shit.
Money up front.
That they never respond to. But it goes to show that women have zero idea of the masculine experience. And why would they, quite frankly? Why would they? Why the fuck are you going to go ahead and try to figure out and understand something that has absolutely nothing to do with you and you don't have to understand? The men come to you, so why do you need to understand them?
Also, her actual traits she mentioned earlier, funny, fine, fucking money, who does that match? Her co-host, Emmanuel. And isn't it funny that a lot of people that she dated in the past, which are her like past records, have that same accolade, but you know what happens to them? They smash and then they leave. So her giving advice to me is funny because she's not married, one, no man, two. You're giving advice about dating? What do you know? You get smash and dash. But then again, your type is fine, funny, and money. Well, there you go, honey. Dropped. That's what it is, bro. Like, she's calling it out, but in real time, that's what happens. A lot of women nowadays, they follow the trend of this whole like these traits here. But at the same time, like, if they understand what's happening, it's just for a short period of time. Those guys that have options. So to me, it's like, okay, you want this guy that has all these options? How do you stand out? You're all the same. So to me, her saying that's funny because she's not married or with a man. So it's what it is.
Yeah, old chicks always be the most confident about themselves.
She's 37 years old.
And
almost 40.
Her previous relationship was athletes as well.
Of course.
There was a baseball player.
Of course.
Former NBA player. And now a former NFL player.
Yeah.
And the problem with women like her, so girls never go backwards, right? So if they date a guy of a certain caliber, it's very difficult or unlikely that they'll go backwards. So if a girl's used, all of her boyfriends were like millionaires, she can't date a regular guy anymore. She's fucked.
Yeah.
Her dopamine receptors are fried because she's used to a certain level of lifestyle. I mean, as a matter of fact, if you really think about it, think about the whole concept of the alimony, guys. What is alimony? Alimony is simply a punishment to the man where you provided for your woman at a certain level and she had a certain lifestyle. If you decide to leave her, you are still responsible for providing her that level of lifestyle. So let me get this straight, because we're getting deep here. We have legislated women's need to maintain a lifestyle despite their poor decisions. And I want you guys to really, like, guys, like, we're getting deep here in the red pill, right? With female nature. We coddle women so fucking much in society that we have legislated their hypergamy to the point where if you leave her as a man, you are still responsible for maintaining her lifestyle at that level. And I think that has some type of biological credence because women don't like going backwards. It's very difficult for them to regress with men. And the legislation proves that. You're responsible for maintaining her lifestyle. You got her used to this, now you're responsible for it.
Yeah.
I say all that to build the story for this woman, Joy Taylor. She's 37 years old. She's dated all these multimillionaire successful men that are fit, famous, rich, tall, good looking, in shape.
Funny
maybe, right? But the reality is she's doomed now because she has now become a slave to her standards. She will not be able to garner the attention and maintain the attraction of a man that she feels in her mind is worthy of her. But what she doesn't understand is that she was never worthy in the first place. So when women date really high-level guys, and that's all they deal with, what ends up happening is they kind of get chained by their own hypergamy. You think she could go date an electrician now? No. Could she go date a plumber? I don't give a shit if it's the fucking apprentice all the way up to the guy that owns the plumbing company. Like, they won't suffice.
Yeah.
Cooked. So women just can't go backwards. And I think it's very important for guys out there to realize that if a girl had a bunch of like rich boyfriends before you, or guys that are higher status, etc., and you don't fit in that paradigm, understand that more than likely you're going to be an experiment to her. Let me give a nice guy a chance, right? But she's already going to kind of go in with 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Yeah.
Have your fun and get the fuck out of there. Don't try to rehabilitate women that have made poor decisions and dated out of their leagues, because what ends up happening if you actually do go ahead and get into this, 9 out of 10 times you aren't the first choice. And when you aren't the first choice, she's going to treat you like shit. Because she will always know in the back of her mind, I could do better, or feel that way. She might not be able to actually do better, but she'll feel that way. And then that little thing will rear its ugly head when you guys have an argument. Oh, you know, hey, babe, I need you to do this. Oh, well, Tom would never make me do that. He would just pay. And it's going to come out randomly because they get accustomed to certain type of lifestyle with certain types of guys.
Yeah.
So I think men need to understand this very ugly reality about females is that they can't go backwards, bro. It's not happening. We can, though. Let's say we date nothing but bad bitches. A dude is totally okay with settling with like a 6. If any, a matter of fact,
A compliant 6.
yeah. If anything, him dating those hot girls will make him yearn for a fucking 6.
And appreciate a 6.
And appreciate it. Because we've done podcasts on this before. I've warned you guys. Don't waste your time trying to date 9s and 10s. They're really not worth it. They're really not. And most of you guys are not prepared to deal with the bullshit that comes with it. Like, are you ready to be around a girl that spends 3 hours to get red dressed every time you go outside? Are you ready to be around with a girl that costs you like $2,000-$3,000 a month in maintenance with her hair and her nails and all this other shit? Are you ready for her to be extremely bougie and not want to go eat Chipotle? She wants to eat only the finest places, right? Are you prepared for every time you're walking around with her out, men are going to be staring at her, and if you leave her for 2 seconds, you go to the bathroom, come back, some guy's hitting on her? Are you prepared for every time she walks by a fucking mirror, she stops what she's doing to look at herself and make sure that she looks good? Are you prepared for her to take pictures every fucking minute of herself? Or, hey, can you take this picture for me? This is what you deal with when you're with a 9 or a 10. And a lot of you guys aren't aware of this because you guys haven't been around them. But this is how they are. They have nothing to bring to the table, and all they do is bring their looks, and then they're gonna do everything in their power to make her look stay or to preserve that. So it's a L.